they want to become a meteorologist, they're going to have to be able to take physics courses and math courses. And, math is the language of physics, and because it's atmospheric physics and dynamics that's at work in the atmosphere. And the Weather Service has requirements, certain course requirements that include certain number of semesters in calculus, as well as physics, and then various courses in meteorology, including, say, precipitation physics or cloud physics, remote sensing such as satellite interpretation, satellite imagery and interpretation, or radar imagery and interpretation. Those minimum standards are set forth. So you can get a job in the Weather Service with a bachelor's. Many people do go on and get a master's degree as well. So you can delve in and learn more about the technical aspects of the field. And then there are several that also even go on to get their PhDs, and those folks would get involved in research or teaching.
Probably 75% of them are welders, and fitters, if you will. And then the other 25% are machinery installers and outfitters. An outfitter basically is putting equipment on the boat, putting the cabinetry in a boat, putting the seats in a boat, and so those first 75%, they're doing the welding on the boat, and they're doing the fitting of the actual ship components or boat components.
I went to school at St. Thomas Aquinas back in Rochester, New York, and then I signed up for college, and I did international criminal justice. And after that, I had a job at NYPD in New York City, and then they froze hiring for 3 years, so I was kind of stuck without a job living in New York City. And so I went to class one day, and my teacher said, "Hey, have you talked about the Coast Guard?" And he was in it, so I went and did a patrol with him off duty one day, and I was hooked. So I signed up before my senior year was even over with, and I left right after I graduated, and I've been in ever since. I did my first 2 years in Alaska, and then I chose boatswain mate because I like driving boats and being on the water. So ever since then, that's what I've been doing. Yeah, we on an oncoming day, so we have to stay on duty for 2 days on, 2 days off, and then 3 days on, and then it just rotates like that. Typical day, you get here at 7:30 in the morning, come in, grab some coffee, and go down to the boat to make sure the boats are all good to go for the day, and then come back in, and then we have planned operations for that day, whether it's doing securities patrols or doing boardings, and it just depends. Or like today is a lawn maintenance day or station maintenance day. For kids that want to pursue school after serving, it's a great deal because they pay for like 3.5 to 4 years of your education. And at that same time you're getting education, they're paying you housing pay and everything else. So it's a great 4-year gig. When we did the ASVAB, or I have family in the Marines, so recruiters would come over to the house, and they don't really care about like your school. As long as you have a GED, you could get in. But nowadays, the Coast Guard's becoming more selectable, more select. They can take anyone they want because we don't really need people, but if you have whatever, then they'll take you. Like I waited, like I said, I signed up in February, and then I was sworn in, I want to say in May, so before classes even ended for my senior year of college, and then I was off to boot camp in July.
Okay.
So that was really fast, and I know kids here who have waited almost a year to go to boot camp after signing up.
Okay.
And that's all because they have either a bad record or they didn't do too well in high school, so they have like a probation period.
Okay.
And it's just stuff like, you gotta keep your nose clean in high school now too. It's not the days of like, you didn't do well in high school, so your only outlet is the military. It's not like that anymore, because all the services are cutting. It's not just the Coast Guard. The Marines are cutting back, the Army's cutting back, and those used to be guaranteed. When I went to MEPS, they call it, it's where you go to get medically screened before everything, and then you wait. You go there and you wait to get discharged from there to a boot camp. Us Coast Guard guys that had degrees, we were shipping out like a month or two away. There was kids from the Navy that were going there every day in the summer, like high school kids that were off from the summer. They're going every day waiting for a job to open up in the Navy. They don't have a choice. So the Coast Guard, you can go and choose your job. Like I came in as a non-rate, just like a low-level guy, and then I chose what I wanted to do, and I waited my period of time, and then I left. The Navy, those guys were there every day waiting for any job to open up. So
Okay.
they could be like, I want to be on the flight decks of a carrier. They'd be like, well, a cook just opened up. You're a cook now.
Yeah.
That's awful. I couldn't think of doing it that way.
So I'm an English teacher at Mesmer High School in Milwaukee, and I enlisted in the Coast Guard after I started teaching. Part of the reason for that was that I kind of realized as a teacher I would probably never be able to afford a boat of my own, and so I should figure out how to drive someone else's. I guess with my students, a big part of it is leadership with the Coast Guard in boot camp, and then in my A school, we just learned a lot about leadership. My rate as a bosun's mate, we are the ones who become, the OICs, the XPOs of stations, and so our training focuses a lot on, teamwork and problem solving, things like that. So it's good to kind of carry that over to my students. I feel like I also am able to give them maybe a different career perspective that they may not have thought about. Most of my students in Milwaukee come from low-income families who maybe aren't in a position to help them navigate their career options, and so while I would certainly never, push anybody in a certain direction, if they need resources, I'm definitely one of the people in school that our guidance office will send them to. I visited recruiters with several students, so that they have someone to kind of advocate for them, so that's kind of been a good advantage, I guess, of the whole thing, and it's just a great summer job for me. I'm here 1 weekend a month, and then I don't have to stay for the whole summer. We only have to do 2 weeks, but I've chosen to take 60 days of orders for the past 3 summers, so I'm here pretty much from the day that school ends until the day that school starts in the fall.
So what's the pay like?
It's really good. Much better than anything I could make, teaching summer school. So our training for our job is called A School, so I did 10 weeks of A School, and I actually did end up missing about 2 weeks of my school year for that. And my administration was really supportive, and they had a sub for my class for 2 weeks, and so that was nice. So yeah, the auxiliary is all volunteer, they're not paid or anything like that, and the reserves are just kind of the part-time force. My contract is for 6 years of what they call the Ready Reserves, and then for 2 years we are in the inactive Ready Reserve, where we don't have to drill, we don't have to come here, but if something really bad happened, they could call us up and we would have to start drilling again. So.
On the Great Lakes, we're the only one on the Great Lakes. There are not a lot of shipyards in the country that have all the trades required under one roof and owned by the shipyard operator. We do have our fitting trade, which is our steel fitters. Those are the guys that obviously build the boat and erect the sections and work in 311 to build the steel portion of the vessel. We've got our pipe fitting trade, which of course puts, self-explanatory, puts the piping systems in the vessel. Our carpentry trades, our carpenters are what we call our joiners, and basically they do the finish work on the inside, they put the panel work up, do the insulating, that type of stuff. We've got our light metal or our sheet metal trade, and there again, that's ventilation, that's pipe insulating, that's guarding, that's that type of stuff. The electricians, which is a huge trade. Many of these vessels are very high tech nowadays with a lot of monitoring of systems, a lot of navigation equipment. So the electrical trade has really became a very strong need, certainly in our yard and many of the other maritime yards in the state of Wisconsin or in the Great Lakes. So yeah, we got pipe fitters.
Doing it for 10 years. It took, 5 years to train in.
And it was on-the-job training.
On-the-job training.
I think he's one of our many crane operators.
What do you mean? There's only 2 of us here today.
Yep, 2 here today. But many of our crane operators were homegrown, so to speak, whereby we had the good opportunity of having some very seasoned crane operators who've been here for a lot of years, and some of these younger fellows have had the benefit of working with them and able to work through the ability to operate a crane. Many places and many other places in the industry, people who operate cranes do go through some formal training prior to being able to do that. And Junior, as we call him here, is one of our homegrown crane operators.
This is the first weld, that's called a root weld, and you want your root weld to be all the way through, you can feel it on the inside.